1 week after a Peacock-induced hiatus, this is Draped in Gold, your one-stop shop across the ring, and across the pond. It's your boy Flobo, Boyce, and well, I'm talking wrestling. I love chatting with you because we're streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. But as always, I'm not alone. I'm being joined by the award-winning broadcaster, podcaster, wrestling pundit, and maven himself, the real Jack Farmer. How's it going, sir?
What is a maven?
Something that's really good at something, like I don't know, a specialist.
Is that what it is? A maven?
Yeah,
Maven sounds bad. I feel like you'd call like a crow or a coyote's mavens. Like it seems like one of those, like they scavenge on dead carcasses is what a maven sounds like.
According to the premier search engine Microsoft Bing, a maven is a
premier search engine Microsoft Bing.
It's an accumulator of knowledge.
You better be getting a whole boatload of money from Microsoft.
I get Microsoft points.
I will sell out for anything, but for Bing, you better be getting money.
Wow, you will sell out for everything, but where you draw the line is Bing. It's top two search engine.
Jeeves.
Yeah, Lycos. What's going on, Jack? I know we had an undue hiatus last week. What's going on with you, man?
Man, it's been kind of a hectic couple weeks, to be totally honest. It's been I'm kind of tired. A lot of stuff has been going on in my life, and one of those things, I'm getting over COVID. I got the corona, but I'm fine. It's all good, but it zapped me a little bit. But it's been a long couple weeks. I'm glad I just kick back with you, that you do the heavy lifting, and I can just yammer and meander and chatter.
Yo, Jack with the code was like, look, I always go over, brother. Thanks so much, Kirsten, for being in the chat. Everyone else could pile in as we go forward. NXT UK had a lot of things I left on surface, on the paper. It did seem kind of like standard operating procedure, but I really think there's a lot of character moments I want to talk to you about. And I know we get
broad strokes. NXT they had a new presentation today, didn't they? It felt like it looked different today.
It looked different. It hit different. There's a bigger crowd I've ever seen that I could think of in recent memory, and everything seemed a little bit more tactile. So you know what? Let's do that. Let's talk about the broad strokes.
Yeah, I was just to jump ahead. I don't know if it's always been this way. I think it's always been this way, but it really clicked for me. They don't have a hard cam, do they?
I don't think so. The hard cam kind of floats around, so no, there's something hard about it.
Yeah, it was the first time I realized there's never a stationary hard cam there, which has got to be tricky if you are the director there, if you're the one calling the camera shots, or if you're one of the wrestlers, to know where to be location wise. That's got to be a very tricky situation. It never looks tricky, and maybe that's why I've never noticed, but this is the first time I was like, oh shoot, they don't have it never stops.
It was one of the casualties of the pandemic era, because there was a hard cam pre-pandemic, but once it came back, it was pretty much the BT Sports Arena is great, but it looks smaller. It looks even smaller now with more crowd in there, having to find a way to get everything in there, all the little angles and stuff like that. So
it's smaller, but I do, and not to jump, I'm jumping all over the place, but we already
won our award, Jack. We do whatever the heck.
Yeah, it does. I do like the presentation of the BT Sports arena more than the NXT 2.0 arena. I'm not a fan of the NXT 2.0 arena.
Really? You don't like the risers? Is it the colors? Is it the open ceiling?
It's too big. It's the open ceiling, I think, is what does it. Is it makes it feel big and empty, even though technically all the seat space is filled. It still feels big and empty, I think, because those ceilings are so high.
Yeah.
And there's so much dead space above them that it I don't know. I like the BT Sports one more.
I got a feeling that they had that on paper. Like they didn't want to make it seem claustrophobic, so they make it open air. But you're right. I guess it had the opposite effect. It became too open in some places, especially when Chase U is not there. When they're not there, you're kind of like, huh.
Yeah, it feels empty and it feels temporary. It feels very much like it just doesn't feel like a home to them. It feels like a makeshift place for now every time I watch it.
Got shout out to Bobo Thunderpants and Wheel 5 Stud Muffin, who's rolling in the chat. Hopefully things are working well on your end. You're all my thoughts there. Let's talk about our main event. We have ourselves that Heritage Cup, but it's not for the cup. It's Heritage Cup rules, which means Noam Dar lives to see another day. A-Kid Charlie Dempsey in one hand When I think of grappling, I think of Dempsey. On the other hand, signature matches, it was all A-Kid on paper, but this ain't paper. Charlie Dempsey gets the win, even though there was a slight sprinkling of shenanigans with those brass knuckles there, Jack.
Yeah, the brass knuckles almost were a big problem. Fortunately, the ref got involved and stopped A-Kid from using them. And the thing that I think we really need to think about is
he wasn't going to use
Charlie Dempsey.
Oh my God!
He didn't even care. He was like, "I don't care that you've got brass knuckles. I'm still gonna box you," and still fought and duked it out with A-Kid and found a way to get the win. Charlie Dempsey, you're always counting him out. You're always trying to find reasons to not believe in the guy, but he fought through a war and got a hard-fought win today.
He had the brass knuckles, that A-Kid. Stop making up rumors.
I bet if I was to go back and grab a screenshot, it would say different.
You know what? I hate that because you're right. Look, I got to say that A-Kid did the smart thing at first, making sure there was a quick tap out to get those 2 falls back in the back end, but he was screwed out of a win this week. Now, if you're A-Kid, what happens now? One thing, you've had 3 matches with Charlie Dempsey. I think it's your last chance, the last thing you can go here. But on the other hand, it wasn't clean because we all know those brass knuckles were not A-Kid's.
You're right. A-Kid really showed his, in many ways, showed his Heritage Cup background and how good he is at it. Because you're right, the quick tap was a very smart move, actually. And I think Nigel even called it great move on his part to just tap out, don't cause damage. It's going to cause problems down the road. But also the way he was able to hit that big moonsault DDT, not enough time to get the pin, but then as soon as it was done, went right after him again, right after Charlie Dempsey again to try to capitalize on that. That moonsault DDT was brutal.
Yeah.
That might have been the hardest plant I've seen him do to anyone with that moonsault DDT. And I love that running jump kick he does. I think the one he got the first win with, I would love to see him just use that as the finish in the future. I thought that was incredible. I think that if you're A-Kid, though, I think you saw that you just hit Charlie Dempsey with everything you had, and you just saw that those brass knuckles weren't even enough to get the win. Maybe it's just time for A-Kid to go back to either mentoring Saxon Huxley or heading back over to the stateside.
It does seem in an alternate dimension, or in the past, a couple months ago, that A-Kid was destined to be the guy in all the souvenir cups in Orlando, but it seems that we had a little bit of a change of heart, change of course. What's going on with A-Kid? I don't know. No idea.
Yeah, it's right now. Everything in NXT UK, it's weird because it feels like so many people may be on their way over to NXT 2.0 right now. And so there's a lot of stuff that feels a little shaky as far as the ground goes there. But the one thing that seems constant, I think, is Charlie Dempsey.
Charlie, you mean that cheater? Okay, so I'm going to leave that at that. Because, you know, that D-Family and I don't get along. But let's get into that other things. Wheel 5 Star has a question, which is kind of cool. I can ask with his next statement here. He goes, "Hey, guys, I know I haven't been here the last few weeks. Shame on you. Just kidding, JK.
Ooh.
How do you guys think they have been presented to NXT 2.0 guys and NXT UK?" So we saw Damon Kemp and Last Legend. Let me start with Last Legend first. Jack Farmer, Last Legend had a match against Amelia McKenzie, and there's talent that actually had a match on 2.0 this week. Thoughts about the differences of presentation of Last Legend on these 2 shows?
Last Legend is someone that she is it's like night and day watching her on 2.0 versus UK. I think she looks great on 2.0, but on UK, Last Legend just comes out as a superstar. Something about her just hits different in NXT UK. Something about her seems next level great on UK. From her music, her entrance, the way she carries herself, she has this weird ability to almost change her height when she needs it. Like when she's walking out, you don't think of her as this massive person, but then when she needs power, for some reason, it almost like Mr. Fantastic, she stretches out and suddenly seems like a bigger person when she needs to. I thought she looked incredible in her match today. I got the biggest giggle when she picked up Mackenzie and bounced her head up and down on the top and middle rope. I was thinking, I don't know how much damage that does, but my pride would be so damaged. I would tap out. I'd be done.
Here's your winner, a result of embarrassing. Okay, so Will Five says something here. And I'm going to go on a Stephen A rant if you don't let me. He goes, I don't believe her, assuming Lash Legend. I don't believe her right now at all. And you know what, Johan Pena, allow me to get a little bit mean here. But this right here is a perfect example of the differences, the nuances between NXT and NXT UK. Now, I was not the biggest Last Legend fan, but on Tuesday night, we came back from a commercial break, and already in the ring is supposed to be someone who thinks they're a superstar. If you're a superstar, you don't even get an entrance, that battle is already lost. Now, fast forward to today. Last Legend came out. Her music, still a bop, is playing. Nigel McGuinness on commentary. So she's tall. She has a basketball background, played for the Seattle Storm in the NWNBA, a natural athlete. I know what that means. And then we get to know what Amelia McKenzie means to Mako Satomura. Same talent within what? 36 hours from each other, and I felt that it was two different talent. I gotta tell you this, Johan, I believe Lash today, and you will start believing her soon if she stays with NXT UK or 2.0 gives her some of that Nigel McGuinness treatment.
That is one of the few rants that you and I are going to agree on right off the top. I agree completely. I think she is she's an absolute star. And yeah, well, let's give your hat some flowers. That's a good one.
It's Lewis Hamilton's, F1.
Very cool. Did you get that when you were when you went to watch?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I gotta get the merch. How many times am I gonna go to a Formula One event? Yeah.
I love it. But you bring up such a good point too about the entrances and presentation in pro wrestling is everything, and how you're presented is everything. We can talk about all of the other stuff that goes into things, but how you are presented is so important. And when you don't get an entrance, that kills you, because your entrance is the one time where everything and everyone's attention is on you. The rest of the match, the rest of the show, we're looking at the crowd, we're looking at the ref, we're looking at the other wrestler, we're listening to the commentary and things like that. But during the entrance, it's all about you. And when you don't get that, that steals so much thunder from what you're trying to do. And having that in UK, I think, is such a big difference, makes such a big difference. And Nigel talking just about how big of a star she is makes such a big difference. And so she has everything she needs. Just needs to get that opportunity to show it on stateside.
So Will Five Studs, no, Dylan Matthews, excuse me, says Last Legend is a star, more wrestling, less chat show. So we see no lashing out quite yet in the UK. We see the background of the natural athletic and the basketball thing. We know that on 2.0, Lash is kind of like a Wendy Williams character. Hey, if you were the Phantom GM, what do you do with that? You know, on one end, that character is hot, very easy to describe. But on the other hand, the natural athlete thing is the old tried and true. What do you do?
Right now, I say you go with the tried and true. You can make things, you can adjust things later, but we talk about how important first impressions are. We talk about how important it is to get to be well known. Once you're known, you can do different things. I mean, once Stone Cold was big, he could sing songs to Vince McMahon and wear silly hats and things like that. And we were okay with it. But if he started as that, we'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
Let us get to know the person first. Let us get on board with the person first, and then start trying to do things differently. It would be my opinion.
On the other side of the coin, Damon Kemp, who is, I guess, in UK continuity, not in Diamond line as of yet, had a match against Shaw Samuels with Noam Dar dressed like Shaw Samuels. Another opportunity of a talent from NXT 2.0, getting a little bit of a view there. But I want to ask you a question about Shaw Samuels. Here's a guy we saw took the time to, one, have a family, and two, change his body and hang out and shred up to be the best person possible. Maybe it's time to go out on his own. Maybe it's time to East End Bookie starts getting gold for himself. Thoughts?
I think he should be getting some gold on his own, or as part of a tag team, if that's something that they plan on doing. But Noam Dar, I know, is so busy with the Heritage Cup, probably too busy. So I would be fine with him getting some gold on his own. I was thinking that he might be one of the more underrated guys. I think, and this is a sort of breaking the multiverse here, but I compare him a lot to a Sean Spears right now, where I think what he contributes and what he does is so much more valuable than what a lot of viewers think it is. And I think that he is one of the most valuable people in NXT UK, in the sense that yeah, he looks the part. He acts the part. He's interesting. There's no one like Shaw Samuels. You could put him on any brand, and I think he's interesting. You could put him across from anybody. I mean, if you put him in a match with Roman Reigns right now, he could cut an incredible promo about how the odds aren't on his side. You know what I mean? Like he could make it work. And I think that he's incredibly entertaining. I think he's great in the ring. I think Shaw Samuels is absolutely what you would want on a roster.
I can't deny that. It's one of the hardest things besides wrestling in wrestling is to be memorable. And even from the first time we saw him in the UK from the reboot going, my name is Ed Harvey, it's Shaw Samuels. I haven't forgotten about that. So props to that. And I would love to see that Roman Reigns Shaw Samuels promo. That'd be kind of fun to watch.
That I'm not Ed Harvey. One of my possibly my top 10 all-time favorite like things said in pro wrestling. I think that was such a great thing, and it's almost a shame it was on NXT UK because not as many eyeballs are on it. Because if that happened on SmackDown, the internet would have blown up.
Oh yeah, like, this name sucks. I'm this.
This name sucks. Call me by my real name. Yeah. The Twitter sphere would have exploded if that happened on SmackDown. That was one of the coolest things ever as far as pro wrestling goes. And the fact that they then played up on it later with Nathan Frazier and him being like, "Oh, you used a fake name? I don't do that."
Yeah. That's like I'm breaking right there.
So cool. Seriously, probably possibly top 10 things ever said in pro wrestling for me.
Yeah, I think Shawn Samuels is a star. I think we say this a lot on these kind of shows, but I really mean it. Most of us know about Damon Kemp. Here's the person that was on the losing end of this match. We got a little bit of a pep talk / challenge from Wolfgang at the end. And still, there's a Heritage Cup waiting in the wings. Is Damon Kemp the guy to take down Noam Dar, or am I just putting the cart before the horse?
Yes, you are, because he couldn't even beat Shaw Samuels. Why would he get a Heritage Cup championship match?
You know, you lose the first one and you train really hard. You win the second one. That's wrestling, baby.
But that wasn't even a heritage. Even if he beats Shaw Samuels, now he's got to start winning some Heritage Cup matches. Come on, you just
gotta put over U.S. talent, okay?
just because he's in Diamond Mine doesn't mean he gets title shots across the pond. But I do like the idea of Wolfgang bringing him under his wing. Wolfgang knows how to work with tough guys, knows how to work with some bruisers, and I think looking at this match, Damon Kemp surprised me with how good he was. By the way, very, very good. Like his suplexes were great. He seemed strong. He never seemed like there was ever a moment where he felt out of his depth. He felt like he was in his depth the whole time there. I mean, outside of when he started taunting a little too much, getting a little carried away and started getting his feet all tangled up in some stuff in the corner. Outside of that part, he seemed like he was very well in control of things. And he actually impressed me today. I think of this week, he may have been the person that impressed me. No way. There's someone else. We'll talk about him later. But I think that is a tease, ladies and gentlemen. He impressed me a lot today. And I think him and Wolfgang, if they created a tag team, could make some hay.
Remember Gallus? I used to. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Mark Coffey.
Do I remember?
I don't know. And I love how because of the Gallus, I know what Glaswegian is because Nigel says it all the time. Mark Coffey, though, with the Joe Coffey notation on his wrist, had a match against Saxon Huxley, with Mark Coffey being the boy on top. It's called back to a reference no one knows. Thoughts about Mark Coffey, because for weeks you were saying he's probably the number one guy in that group, but it seems like he is, in fact, the number one guy.
Well, he's now the last guy because it looks like Wolfgang's moved on. Wolfgang was like, okay, cool. I figured we were done for a long time. So I've already been figuring out what my next steps are. Mark Coffey's still trying to not let go of the group, which is a little sad because it feels like Joe Coffey has left. It feels like
it's a sad
Wolfgang has left. Sometimes you're sometimes you're all. So he here he is. He's the only one that's still like, come on guys, no, it'll be cool. It's like when parents get divorced, but the kid doesn't understand that it's already over by the time they figure out that it's happening. No, mom and dad, we can make this work. And like, look, kid, we've already gone through the paperwork. This is done. This is a done deal. It's over.
Jack calls his kids. Kid, we're
Kid.
done.
It's done. Get out of here. Will I see you on weekends? Nope. Get out of here.
Heel.
So, but I also think, though, something that Mark Coffey should think about that should maybe give him a little solace in all this is he got a win today. He got a big win today. And he got a win now that Gallus boys are no longer around. Maybe this is a good thing for him. He's being more successful than he was when he was part of Gallus. So Gallus boy on top. And, I think that he says Joe Coffey can come back anytime he wants. Of course, I think Joe Coffey can go anywhere and be anywhere he wants to. But I think Mark Coffey should just embrace this time on his own and take advantage of it and see just how far he can go. Because I'm feeling without having to worry about everything else and just focusing on himself, he'll be more successful than he's ever been.
A lot of things happening around the NXTUK universe. In the interest of time, Ivy Nala, Make Us Out of Morris on the horizon. Von Wagner and Sam Gradwell had another promo for the ages. Kenny Williams and Mark Andrews still going at it, and Mustache Mountain is tired of Ready and Forward. We talked about how you can layer and stack storylines on UK there, Jack, but either one of these threads really grabbing at you?
The one that I think is standing out the most, well, all of them really. And I want to first talk about Gradwell and Von Wagner and what really stood out to me about this whole thing. Von Wagner has been doing some good things for a while now. So is Sam Gradwell, but Sam Gradwell has been, I'm a big fan of him, but he hasn't been near the top of things, if that makes sense. And I think this promo today actually really did Sam Gradwell a lot of favors in a lot of ways, because it showed, look, the guy's obviously tough. He can obviously beat people up. He's obviously great on a microphone. He can cut people down. He can say things that are memorable. But he showed me today that he can actually tell a bit of a story in his mic work and not just cut people down, because sometimes people are like, oh, this person puts people down, they're so good on a microphone. But as we know, there's so much more to that. You got to make me invested in the match, and that means you got to tell me a bit of a story. And seeing the way Sam Gradwell was reacting to Von Wagner, to me, was next level stuff. And I think that he showed to me that he can tell a good story. And if you give him the opportunity to be at a high level on the card, he can not only deliver in that ring, but he's going to deliver on the entire journey to the match.
I like that. I like the way you put him over, just in case he does go over. You're like, oh, I was there since day one. That's smart long-term booking.
I've been a fan of Sam Gradwell for a long time. He's always been one of my favorites.
You're yogurt. John Gillis says the main event match was the match of the week at All of Wrestling. I assume the NXTUK event, which I agree with you. I mean, it's a hard sell for casual fans, the art of grappling, and I think the Heritage Cup itself is a good way to bridge that gap between wrestling enthusiasts and casual wrestling fans. But this match, even though it was non-title or non-cup, was pretty dope too, I thought.
Yeah, if you're a wrestling fan, it is a wrestling fans wrestling match. The Heritage Cup division in general it's definitely like, if you're a fan of pro wrestling, then you like the Heritage Cup. But this match in general, that one between Dempsey and A-Kid, and Dempsey is someone to me who I think is so talented as a wrestler, but also so brutal as a striker. And A-Kid, we always talk about his high flying, but I just want to say as well that as I was watching this, we don't give him enough credit for his transitions and his ability to go from move to move and to hang with guys hold for hold and to not let wrestlers out wrestle him. He's incredible.
It is interesting. We kind of like give joint manipulation to all the British guys, but here's a Spaniard totally doing the same thing, hanging with it. A-Kid has so many tools, and that's why I'm a little bit frustrated that it seemed like he was on a path to a little bit higher of prominence on 2.0, but maybe it's more of a long-term play. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't know if language barrier was an issue there. That's my only, and I don't know. I'm just kind of.
What about the attractiveness barrier, Jack? That guy is handsome. Put that guy on TV.
There's no barrier there. That's like,
ladies and gentlemen, real Jack Farmer.
I was trying to think of an analogy, and everything that came to my mind, I was like, that's gonna sound not appropriate.
But talk about yourself, always appropriate. Funerals, DMVs, it's all great. So NXT 2.0 was There's some things that happened, sure. It kind of felt like a lot of B-sides and rarities. In my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for everyone here in the panel, but let's talk about
B-sides and rarities. That's from the name of my greatest hits album.
Yes, yeah, the first one didn't sell, but the B-sides.
The B-sides and rarities.
Like all the rain songs flopped, but the ones you never heard of.
They flopped also. No one's ever heard of my band.
Let's talk about his main event. All Black Braun Breaker against Duke Hudson was ended in DQ, and it was a non-title affair, but Joe Gacy's still hanging out there being all Joe Gacy-like. In Your House, which is kind of like, on some levels, the premier live event for 2.0, but also seemingly coming out of nowhere, is on the horizon. Joe Gacy, Braun Breaker is still going to be there, but I feel Duke Hudson was collateral damage. Jack?
Duke Hudson was collateral damage.
Yeah, because you know Duke Hudson's not going to In Your House. Yeah, you know Duke Hudson's not going to win the title. Yeah, you know Duke Hudson should go back to that poker room. Yeah, you know Duke Hudson was way more fun, unfortunately for me to say this, when he was hanging with Persia Pirotta, but now he's single now with his hair grown back, and it's kind of like,
Tommaso Ciampa.
Who?
Dolph Ziggler.
Who?
Duke Hudson.
No.
The three guys that have wins over Braun Breaker.
Stop.
You're
DQ.
saying he's collateral damage?
Yes.
He just joined the triple threat of those who have been able to beat Braun Breaker. Duke Hudson, he should be the champion right now if it weren't for the crazy you can't lose the title on a DQ rules. I think Duke Hudson just showed the world he can break the breaker.
You know what? The fact Break the Breaker is not a t-shirt, yeah, it feels like money's up on the table. And the fact you want to do it with Duke Hudson, and you're a Duke Hudson guy, so this is all propaganda.
Propaganda, it's the truth.
Well, let's go through some of these questions here in chat. John Gillis one says, who do you guys think is up for Dragunov? And if I would be the most cop-out answer, I would say Tournament Tom, because there's really no one else that's a presumptive number one contender. Do you disagree with that, Jack?
I think there's someone who's the number one contender. I think that they've been unstoppable for a while. They've been beating everybody in their path, and I don't know if I can imagine what it would look like if they lost. I think it's Charlie Dempsey. I mean, I know you're not a fan of De Familia. I know you like.
I'm not a fan of De Familia.
I know you like to put them down. I know like to shortcut them, undercut them, and everything else. But
hey.
He's beaten everybody. He's beaten everybody. He's done it in a pretty dominant way. He's shown that he has all the talents that you need to be a champion. I think he's earned a shot more than anyone else right now. I know he may not be the spicy pick. You know, it's not like saying Rampage comes back. It's not like saying Walter. It's not like saying Jordan Devlin, but he is a guy that has been winning constantly for a long time now.
I would say that, but if I'm Teoman and you have the person you recruited get your shot before you, that would ask a lot of questions internally whether or not he should accept that challenge. But that's just a storyline beat for me.
I say cross that bridge when we get there. Let's just get a good fight.
Ooh. John also asked, what's your opinion of the Money in the Bank movement to the MGM Garden Arena? I'm actually glad and or relieved, but that's because I'm more of a SummerSlam purist, and I feel if you're going to do big arena shows, you shouldn't have them back to back and together. And Money in the Bank, while it's a good event, and while I would argue it's the top 5 of the big 5, should not be an arena event personally. I'm not sure how you feel about this one, Jack.
I'm kind of indifferent on it, to be totally honest. Indifferent. I mean, I don't really think it matters that much. I think that maybe the WWE has learned don't do shows on 4th of July weekend.
Big Willie weekend.
Because but I think maybe that's the biggest takeaway is that maybe certain holidays aren't good for doing shows. I feel like Logic would have told you 4th of July weekend is not a good day to ask everyone to come inside and watch a show when they could be outside grilling burgers and shooting fireworks and at the pool or at the water. But, you know, they learned something. I don't fault them. Try something, see how it works. Because I'm guessing the move is due to ticket sales is why
I would assume that as well. Allegiant holds about 80,000. Our Garden Arena is about 17,000. So that's about what 25% or 75%, excuse me, reduction in capacity.
So that's an assumption I'm making there. So we could find out it's a different reason, but I'm assuming it's the ticket sales. So that said, I mean, I personally, if they could, I would love it if every show is an arena show. I think more people in an arena always sounds and looks cooler. So I always dig that. But for me, it doesn't really like I'm not going to be watching it, watching Money in the Bank going, oh, God, I'm glad they changed this arena. You know what I mean? Like, it's
That's
not
totally
really
me. I'm so glad to preserve SummerSlam.
I'll be saying that if all the arenas like dark because they couldn't fill up the small arena, then I'm like, oh dang, I'm glad they changed this. But in general, like honestly, if no one said anything, I don't know if I would even notice. You know what I mean? Like I don't really like.
Just so many venues in Vegas, and not to like condemn anything, but so many venues that are bigger, like the Orleans or the Thompson Mac or the T-Mobile. The fact that the Garden Arena makes you go, that's what the Aces play. It's like, it looks like it has to be ticket sales. But not to belabor a point, because we're just speculating. Let's talk about NXT and the women's breakout tournament. We had one of two matches. Let's get the easy one out the way. Last Legend, the US version, against Roxanne Perez. Quick match there with Roxanne Perez headed to the finals. But on the other side, we had Fallon Henley that got a bye to the semifinal round because Nikita Lyons is injured. Not sure to what extent. But Tiffany Stratton finds a way to weasel her way in. And now she is going to the finals against Roxanne Perez. Let's break this down. Jack Farmer, Tiffany Stratton found a way to get herself in the tournament and found a way to beat Fallon Henley.
So that was just another example of why we need to really take a moment and respect the hard work, the dedication, and the ethics of a Tiffany Stratton, and how she saw that there was a situation where Fallon Henley was not going to have to work her way to the finals, not do what she needed to do, not do what she was supposed to do. And Tiffany Stratton said, look, the fans came here today to see a match. They came here to see some good wrestling.
Did not say that.
Not to see someone just get given a bye, just get let through. This is a place where you're supposed to earn everything. And I want to give back to the fans. And so she did.
Did not say that.
She did. And when she did, she won. She didn't
say that though.
She was talking about Vegas. Bet on yourself and win. Tiffany Stratton. I got to admit though, this was kind of a surprise. I mean, we're going into this. I remember thinking to myself, when you're the fill-in for someone who got hurt, you rarely do well in tournaments in pro wrestling.
True.
So to see her get through that, I think the fact that she was able to actually overcome that and get through, I think was actually very impressive. Stratton showed me everything you need to be a star in this matchup, whether it be her promo before the match. Just she crushes it every time she goes out there. The way she was like blowing kisses while in that submission, I thought was just perfect. And again, getting a win in a match she had no business winning. Tiffany Stratton equals inspiration.
What the hell, guys? Stop.
Listen. And Dylan Matthews, he would understand things about inspiration.
I hate this job.
She really showed that like this is what you need to do the right thing. So I thought that was great. Also, the fact that she had her friend Grayson Waller come out after the match, not getting involved, coming out to celebrate with her, just a very wholesome moment for everybody. I did like though how Henley showed she was a fighter. I mean, literally, she was a brawler. She was a fighter. She didn't just. I liked how she didn't. As I was watching this unfold, I like that she wasn't using a lot of wrestling. That she was actually fighting and brawling, and I think that makes her stand out a bit as opposed to trying to be technical and trying to do certain things. She brawled much like a Stone Cold would, and I mean, she got hurt and she didn't know how to get around that injury. But at the end of the day, I like how she presented herself in the ring.
So there's a comment that says, I personally don't see anyone at NXT with the upside of both Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton. I actually agree somehow. I think Roxanne Perez is going to be a superstar, not just a regular star. I don't quite see it with Stratton yet, but y'all going to call me a hater. But I was actually more impressed with Fallon Henley for the reasons Jack has stated. When it comes down to a crowded roster, which seems to be crowded overnight, it seems, to be able to find a way to stick out, whether an attire or character moves, hanging out with a brawling tag team. I think Fallon Henley may end up smelling like a rose when it's all said and done. But no, I have not bought stock in Tiffany Stratton. Maybe it's too late for me.
This is why you'll see on Twitter a lot, people will say WWE has done nothing to build certain stars, or this division it has no one in it. And I get it sometimes in the short term, but when WWE needs a division, they can make a division very quickly. And like this division, like you just said, suddenly, like, wow, this is a stacked division again. NXT for a decade now, they have had the ability to make a division, have it picked clean by the main roster, and then snap their fingers, and suddenly they've got a big division again. It's just an incredible the way they're able to do that. But yeah, this is a good division. And I could see Roxanne Perez is probably the one the world is looking at as being the next star. But I think they've got a couple in the division that could go on to do some pretty cool things.
Do you think Tiffany Stratton wins it all next week?
Against Perez?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Fair enough. I wouldn't like it, but fair enough.
I know Perez is the favorite. I think a lot of people have her as the favorite to win the whole thing. I've said before, I feel like these breakout tournaments, the favorite rarely is the one that actually ends up going all the way through. Also, I think the time that Perez spent with Wendy Chu not training is going to come back to haunt her.
I'm going to try to avoid all the Wendy Chu slander this week, but we had a lot of women's division action here. Elektra Lopez against Alba Fire with a shock defeat from Elektra Lopez. Not saying Alba Fire was incapable of winning this match, but Elektra Lopez, for as far as I can tell, counting level up as well, was 6 of her last 6 matches with victories until this match. But even then, you had Cora Jade is laughing and sniveling in the crowd at the dog from Duck Hunt. Jack Farmer, Alba Fire, 2-0. Elektra Lopez suffers a defeat, and Cora Jade's in the mix.
How many people watching are fans of Cora Jade and also know about the dog from Duck Hunt, do you think?
Just me, because I'm old. I'm incredibly old. Dang.
In the chat, if you know who the dog from Duck Hunt is, let us know, because I have a feeling...
She's like 20, right? Oh, God. Forget it. Remember the PS1 guys? All right.
Yeah, that's a yeah. It's the dog from Duck Hunt. In any case, this was what shocked me about this is how quick and definitive it was. Like this wasn't like a hard fought contest. This was a fast match, and Alba Fire basically dominated. And she hit what looked like a swanton bomb. But this is also the Dylan shrugging off the dog from Duck Hunt.
You youthful man, you.
Hearing the dog from Dog Hunt. Oh man, you're better off for it. But this is the brilliance of NXT, right? Where you have Alba Fire looks great, comes out with a great entrance, gets a big win. So she's set. But then we're all asking, well, dang, Elektra Lopez just got beat fast. What's going to go on with her? Instantly pivots. Now she's looking to Cora Jade. Cora Jade and her are now exchanging blows in here. And now we're not thinking about how Elektra Lopez lost. We're not thinking about the loss anymore. Now we're looking at Cora Jade versus Elektra Lopez. And we have to give NXT 2.0 credit when they deserve it here. And that was a great opportunity for them to now make Alba Fire look great. And now Elektra Lopez and Cora Jade have a rivalry. Everything's set. No one really looks worse for wear here. I think it was a great move. I think it was a great segment. And I think it did a lot of good for everybody.
Nothing is wrong in that segment. I think it's pitch perfect to your point. But I think last week I had mentioned about the glut, seemingly, of powerhouses on that brand. And, it benefits having one person who seems to be unstoppable. And for a while, that was Elektra Lopez. But now that's gone by someone basically half her size. It's like, well, who is the tower of power in that brand?
Tiffany Stratton is a pretty strong person herself.
Fair enough. That's a fair answer.
I did. There was this funny part of me where Wade Barrett said he was mad at Cora Jade for taking a fan's spot. And in my mind, I was just trying to imagine how that would look when if like Cora Jade, hey, hi, I'm Cora Jade. Can you leave, please? I gotta sit in your spot. Like a fan actually getting kicked out of their spot.
It's like, don't do it, man. She took my skateboard last week.
This was another one of those things, though, where come on, that was kind of antagonizing to Cora Jade. Why do we like her? Isn't that's kind of a jerk move, right?
Kind of. And she's hanging out with Roxanne Perez, and she's winning now. It's like, okay, Cora Jade.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a heel.
Maybe she is. She's gonna be the next Zion Quinn.
Oh, you know what? I was going to talk about him now, but let's get the other women's match because we get all those Wendy Chu slander out the way. Indy Hartwell with new theme music had a match against Mandy Rose, non-title affair, but Mandy Rose still got the win. Anyway, a lot of questions here to pull from. Indy Hartwell says she wanted to make this a new chapter of her career. Mandy Rose reestablishes herself at the top of the food chain. Toxic Attraction is dealing with Katana Chan, somebody you saying that, and Caden Carter, and Wendy Chu had a bag of balls. It was pandemonium.
You'll notice here, in every altercation, someone attacks Toxic Attraction unprovoked. Every
Right?
time.
Probably deserve
Every
it.
time.
They deserve it.
Why? When are we finally going to get some security for Toxic Attraction? When are we going to start finally handing out some suspension?
Security? We don't have a
people who
GM.
are attacking.
Who's a GM? Who's a commissioner?
Ever since they got rid of William Regal, there has been lawlessness across NXT.
You got him fired.
Since they didn't have, now that they don't have the law and order of William Regal to keep control of this brand. When he was around, everything worked fine. Everything was smooth.
You wanted him fired.
Fun. But now that he's gone, Toxic Attraction constantly attacked. Why are we cheering people who are constantly attacking Toxic Attraction? They've done, what was the thing they did wrong to Wendy Chu?
They were just mean girls to Wendy Chu. That she didn't belong in a place where everyone can belong, whether they want to sleep in public or not. They were the baddies. Not the baddies. That's the other thing. They were bad people.
If you walk into your office, wherever you work, if you work at McDonald's and you see someone sleeping on the floor in front of the fry machine or whatever it is they use to make fries, you're like, get out of here. What are you doing?
It's awfully dangerous. Why don't you sleep by the oil? I'll just pop a squat right here.
You have to like you can't sleep on the job. There's literally a phrase, don't sleep on the job. Wendy Chu is literally doing the thing you're not supposed to do. And of course, Katana and Caden, out of nowhere, they're attacking Toxic Attraction. Toxic Attraction have done nothing to them. They've done nothing.
They're just mean girls. That's what it was. They're just being mean.
And it's even during this match here, this match is going great. Indy's doing great. Mandy's doing great. They're showing what women's wrestling is all about. And then Toxic Attraction, they're just trying to like come root for their friend. And they get attacked at ringside again. I don't know what this is all about. I don't know what's happening here. I just think that Toxic Attraction should be filing grievances. They should be filing restraining orders. They should be suing NXT for allowing this to happen. It's just a mess.
It's just a mess. There's no GMs on the horizon. And if there was a GM opening, I'll probably decline it because I know Jack could be sitting there wagging his finger at me weekly. But we have to move on to one of the more curious parts of NXT, in my humble opinion. Wesley, which is Wes short for Wesley Lee, or is it just Wes Lee?
I always think that myself.
Okay. Wesley Lee.
Wesley Lee.
Had a match against Sanga, which was weird because Sanga was just giving support backstage, but West thought he was being slighted, and they had a competitive match, and Sanga totally destroyed the poor kid. Zion Quinn came out because he's doing Zion Quinn-like things, but Sanga comes and defends Wesley. Now, faction, tag team, what's Zion Quinn doing? What direction does he have? Why is Wesley so easily agitated? I have questions. Do you have answers, Jack?
So my first, I want to talk about Wesley first. And I alluded earlier to the show, someone that impressed me the most and grew the most on me. And this week it's Wesley. Oh, Dylan Matthews, by the way, you're right. I think, if NXT needs someone to make sure that place runs like clockwork, the Tacoma Street legend can whip them into shape, no problem.
But, for those who don't know, he's referring to himself, which is pretty tragic, but yes.
So, but I want to talk about Wesley for a little bit here. And Wesley, against nothing he did, obviously, he was in a situation where he was set. He was ready. Like things were going his way. Things were looking good. And then it was all yanked out from under him. Nothing to do with him, totally out of his control. And he finds himself in a situation where he needs to show that he can fly on his own, or he can provide value on his own, or at least without a partner that he's always had before. And, I think like a lot of people I was watching going, let's see if he can do this. Let's see if he can do this. Then he cut that promo backstage. And for me, the fact that he brought so much emotion to his promo, he brought so much fire, so much passion to his promo. To me, that was a next level promo. That was a fantastic promo. That was a promo that made me think, I can see this guy going places. I want to see him with a microphone more often. I know he can go into the ring, but now I know he can tell a story and he can captivate me and be believable on a microphone. And to me, that was the biggest step any wrestler has made on on any wrestling this week. I thought that was an incredible performance. And in the ring, I thought it was great. He reminded me like Spider-Man fighting the Juggernaut against Sanga in this match. I thought he did fantastic. That's got to be like a top 5 choke slam, by the way. I mean,
absolutely.
He was on the wrong end of it, but
yeah,
that may be where like a top 5 choke slam there. And that's saying something. And I don't know if he's going to be a tag team partner with Sanga. I don't know if there's going to be pals. I don't know if they're going to be buddies, but Wesley, to me, really stepped up as a person to watch going forward. We talk about farmers market. I am invested in Wesley right now.
Feet to the fire, though. Seeing what Wesley could do solo, you keep him that way, or do you put him with Sanga, which had that big little connection there?
For now, I would put him with Sanga. I think that you've got more opportunity there. Right now, the singles division is pretty stacked. There's not a lot of space there. I think you've got more opportunity in the tag team division, and it allows him to, I think, maybe get more of those microphone chances, get us to know him a little bit more, and you can always break the team up down the road.
I'm with you. I feel like not so much a promo. When Wesley came down to the ring and did the corner ring pose, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can see him as a single talent beyond MSK or beyond the Rascals if you're an Impact person. But unfortunately, in the interest of time, I got to move on. Top of the show, arguably the biggest storyline happening in NXT is the turf war between the Dawn of NXT, Tony D, and Stacks and Two Dimes, Stacks Shane Lorenzo and Two Dimes Troy Donovan against the match was actually against Idris Enofe and Malik Blade, but we had Laganos hanging out in the wings as well. This thing I thought was going to be solved once. I thought it was going to be solved twice. But now, with In Your House on the horizon, this turf war has to come to a natural end. How does it end, Jack Farmer?
I want to give Idris and Malik a quick shout out because I love those guys and I'm a big fan of them.
Rookie.
No team I watch there's no team that I see together more so than them that feels like they're just buddies hanging out that also wrestle. You know, anyone who has had the opportunity to be at a wrestling show can see how tag teams hang out and they're pals and they're buddies, and you can tell there's a connection between them. These guys feel that way. I don't know what they're like backstage. I only see what I see on the camera, but I feel like they're really buddies who happen to be a tag team, and that's always cool to see. That said, the big story here, Two Dimes and Stacks. I love how they look like mafia guys, even when they're wrestling. A little stereotypical in the way their gear looks, but I like it. I think that fits who they are. They are going to face the problem of me never knowing which one's Two Dimes and which one's Stacks.
Yeah.
That'll be a problem at least for another 7 months of me not knowing which one's which.
If only Roman Reigns faced one in a cell first, so I could tell them apart. Then I'll know. But until that day, which one are you?
At least the Usos are twins. These guys.
Two random dudes.
So that'll be tricky, but I like it. I think it fits what they're doing. I like their finish. It's so simple, but feels like a mafia move. Just 2 boots to the either side of the face. I'm kind of surprised I don't see more of that in tag team wrestling, but I think it's a simple, cool finish. I like these guys, but I'm Team Legado. I don't know how it's going to go down at the pay-per-view, or at the premium live event, but I'm Team Legado on this.
I'll accept pay-per-view for this show. Real quick question though. We saw Damon Kemp from the Diamond Mine side of Damon Kemp. I actually think he pretty much fared well backstage. But the big story is Ivy now has a cornrows out. No, but the big story is where's Roderick Strong? I know there's some things rumbling outside and inside the wrestling news and all that stuff, but it does seem that Diamond Mine is at a crossroad. What do you think is going to happen?
It's tough to say. I don't know if there was a real injury involved. Same with Nikita Lyons. I hope they're both okay. Damon Kemp, there's a few people that it feels like WWE is trying to get as many reps to as possible. Ivy Niles, one of them. Damon Kemp seems to be another. Lash Legend seems to be another. And Von Wagner seems to be another because they are on so many shows right now. Damon Kemp, he seems to do great every time he's on. I thought he was great in this backstage segment. I like this kind of playing both sides, Damon Kemp, where like, hey, no, we're cool, Creed bros, but let me go talk to Roddy, and I kind of like that position he's in. I think he's doing great. I think that he hasn't done enough at this point for me to start losing my mind about the guy, but I think every test he's been given, I think he's passed. His brother, this might be a little for breaking the fourth wall, I guess, behind the curtain, but are him and his brother brothers in WWE, if that makes sense?
Because Gable Stevenson has not been given any kind of character quite yet. So I assume that the fact that Damon Kemp is Damon Kemp, that he's alone. So it hasn't been established. Sort of like the Usos and Solo, like they didn't say they weren't or they were. It's just kind of there.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of interested. It's interesting that Damon Kemp is getting so many reps where Gable Stevenson has had 0.
Yeah. Well, he's winning a championship. That's
yeah. Well, I mean, you're right, but at the same time, one of them has all the fanfare and hasn't had any match time yet, though. It's kind of interesting, but
I agree with you.
It'll be interesting to see if there's if their overall development is impacted in any way because of that.
A couple quick questions before we get out of here this week. Von Wagner had a match against Ike Manjiro, so the talent you mentioned, getting all these reps. But the question I have about that group and Mr. Stone's group is Sophia Cromwell. What do you make of her?
I think if you're Robert Stone, you should be very worried. You should be very worried about Cromwell, because I love Robert Stone. I love what he's able to do, and I love that he has a client that is a big bruiser, that is someone to be taken seriously, and he's not getting pushed around anymore. However, Robert Stone has shown in the past that he has problems when a blonde woman shows up wanting to be part of the group and taking things away from him.
Specific facts.
It's
right.
It's happened before. So if I'm Robert Stone, I'd be very worried that this might be a little deja vu with what's going on right now.
2 more for you. Number 1, Carmelo Hayes was in the barbershop hanging out, but Cameron Grimes come on out there and just crashes the party. It's not WrestleMania 13, but is this a double turn there, Jack?
I was, it was kind of funny. I was thinking, as I was watching this, I was thinking, is someone going to go through that barbershop window?
Imagine.
But these are such good segments, and Trick's expressions and the way he acts during these, it just cracks me up every time. The way he's responding to things, and he's like, huh?
What he said? Tokyo Talk.
Tokyo Talk.
I've come to love him. I know this time last year I was like, he's the worst, but now I'm like, you know what, Trick, you all right.
He is fantastic. He is like the perfect seasoning on these steaks of segments here. He's perfect. I absolutely love it, and I think that he's great. I think these segments are great. I think they've really found a way to make these. I get why, like, the KO show and stuff is in the ring in front of the audience. I understand why you want to do things in front of the audience, but if you're going to do shows like KO shows and Miz TVs and things, I think presenting it like this barbershop is the way to do it. It's so much more interesting. It's such better TV, and it gives him a character. It gives Carmelo and Trick a character, and it feels more like Cameron Grimes is stepping onto enemy territory than it does when KO brings someone onto the KO show.
That's fair. That's a good way to look at it, for sure.
And so I thought this was a very fun segment, and I'm really looking forward to Grimes versus Frazier. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger. And lastly, before we get to our segments here, Pretty Deadly, man, they are on fire. They don't have to do much. How can it be to be a top of a division and have a promo and go, these guys.
We've been watching NXT UK for a while now, so we knew about Pretty Deadly before a lot of other people did, as we know a lot about a lot of people before other people do, because that's where a lot of the future stars seem to be coming from, NXT UK. Pretty Deadly, I've said before, these guys are stars. I hate saying star over and over and over again, but I think they could be individually world champions on any brand. I think they're so good on a microphone. They look good. They have the size. They wrestle well. They're so good as characters. They can lose and still be considered good too. That's one of those sneaky, valuable things that people don't appreciate. But they're just so entertaining.
You got a favorite then? If you're saying either one that could be champions individually, do you have a favorite one, or just kind of saying?
It's I think if I'm going to pick one, I don't want to pick one. I like them both.
You
It's
sure?
like,
I mean,
it's your
Elton
choice.
Prince
I don't.
and Kit Wilson. I mean, they're all like they're talent. I'm just hey,
I do have a favorite, but I don't want to call it out.
What? That is the perfect Jack Farmer riding the fence that Draped in Gold is known for. But now, gotta put your feet to the fire because that time for the MVP of NXT. That's the one person that stuck out, or tag team, or staff member. Can't be William Ringgold because you ran him out of town on NXT or NXT UK. Who do you got this week?
This week, I said it before. I think Wesley. Usually I pick someone who got the win, but I think that what he did this week was a message to anyone and everyone that he's going to be just fine, whether he's in a tag team on his own. And he told me, and I hope he told everyone in the back, that you can give him a microphone anytime and it's going to go well.
Well, my choice here was, I thought clear, but we disagree here. I have to give it Damien Kemp. I'm not the biggest Damien Kemp person or fan, but backstage sounding believable, being in a character, being in that dynamic, and then having a match on This Week in UK and giving something I wasn't expecting. As a very game Sean Samuels, I got to give it to Damien Kemp. Hopefully, that's not the peak. Hopefully, we get a lot more stuff as we go on. That's my MVP for sure. Jack,
a lot of good stuff was done this week. Like a lot of people look really good this week.
Well, yes, because it's UK, baby, and it's also 2.0. But I got this hankering. I want to follow you online on social medias, man. You gotta let me know how I could possibly do that if I'm worthy.
I think the best thing you can do, and I don't say it a lot. I keep it a secret, but okay. I think the best thing you can do if you want to keep up with everything I'm doing, follow me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media.
That's bona fide. I'm not nearly as cool because I'm at Flobo Boyce on Twitter and at Flipito on Instagram. DrapedInGold.com. We're back here every Thursday. Thanks so much for rocking with us with our undue hiatus due to Peacock being a heel. But we'll be back next week. Next week will be episode 92. Now, as we march towards episode 100, I'm going to plan something special, which means you probably won't do anything of the sort. I got to get out of here. But Jack Farmer, as always, until next time, please say the words.
Do your best and be yourself.